Welcome to Eurovision Kiki. We're three Americans who have fallen in love with Eurovision. I'm Doug.
I'm Steven.
I'm Katie, and here on Eurovision Kiki, we're bringing you the best information about the Eurovision Song Contest.
We'll bring you the music, history, traditions,
And all the tea currently surrounding the world of Eurovision.
Thank you for joining us for another Eurovision Kiki. It's been a very exciting day for us. We are filming this on a Friday. Stephen, thank you for joining me. Before we get to the new music for Friday, let's just quickly mention Katie. She is not with us today. She is literally out saving the world, doing her thing.
But she'll be back.
Yes, she will absolutely be back. We are sad she's not here with us, but we know that she's doing great things out there.
Yes, and shout out to Casey and his mustache. She's making sure that that's getting taken care of as well, and we will interpret that how we want to. But we'll see you next week, girl.
And so, again, it's Friday afternoon. We're excited because there's so much new music this week from Eurovision artists.
It's like the Eurovision gods and goddesses were just like, you know what? We're going to give you all a little treat since nobody has announced any, artists or representation for their countries. So let's just throw a bunch of new music at you. Here you go. You're welcome.
You know what? I'll take it. We've got plenty of bops that are going on today. So the first one I'll mention, and the one that I probably was the most excited for, just because social media presence was like shoving it down my throat, was SOS from Isaac. And of course, he represented Germany in 2024. If you haven't heard this song, please look it up. It's amazing. I love it. It's a bop.
It was really good. Definitely one that I was kind of listening to pretty consistently throughout the day today. I want to give a shout out to Bambi Thug and the release of their song Fantasy. It is a little bit different than what they threw us for Eurovision 2024 this year with Doomsday Blues. I get a little bit more contemporary pop than I do sort of like heavy metal rock. So
it's definitely lighter.
It's a little much bit more lighter. Uplifting.
More airy, I don't know.
Airy is a good way to describe it. Yeah, airy, ethereal, maybe, if you want to like go that route. It also gives me anime, gives me a little bit of like that action, if you will. So props to you, Bambi Thug, for giving us something a little bit different. It gives me like optimism that you have really great variety in your Rolodex of music. So,
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And another one for me, and this is an artist that I have been following since Eurovision, Aiko. She released a song, Regal. It's very much her style. I'll give it a bop. It doesn't necessarily stand out from a lot of her other songs, just because, again, her sound is very her own, but as soon as you hear it, you're like, oh, that sounds like your other song. So it's I like it because it's Aiko, but like her, it's bop adjacent. I'm going to give you that.
Okay. Now, this one was actually released a couple of weeks ago, so not as, new as today, but Senhit, who represented San Marino back in 2021 with Flo Rida, came out with Dangerous a couple weeks ago, and I'm here to tell you that one is also a bop, in my opinion. Has a little bit more of like a softer build to it, but it does definitely build up. And so it kind of makes me wonder, is this
the beginning of something? Are we trying to send a message?
Is this a preview of what's to come for San Marino in 2025? I don't know. I'm just speculating, but
are we going to make a prediction? You heard it here first, folks.
Oh my gosh. No, let's not assume anything just yet, but I'm just saying, it came out after September 1st, so maybe there's something there.
Maybe this is the preview and she wants us to see kind of what she's feeling, the vibe she's going to be putting out, because then San Marino is going to release another song for her.
Maybe. I mean, she was the last one to actually from San Marino to make it to the grand final. So give them the opportunity.
We will stay tuned, San Marino.
Yes.
Another one that I will mention is Benjamin Ingrosso. He put out an album. Now that album contains songs that at least I've mentioned before. Honey Boy, Look Who's Laughing Now. So his new album is Pink Velvet Theater. And if you don't know who Benjamin Ingrosso is, where have you been? But he did represent Sweden in 2018. That song, forget about it. Don't even listen to it. Don't bother. But his music now is solid. I love it.
The man has had a glow up since his first time appearing at Eurovision. And Brian, if you're listening, our friend Brian, happy birthday, because I'm pretty sure he released this album just for you. So you're welcome.
And though you might recall that Brian went with us to Eurovision and was one of the first people to be like, Benjamin Ingrosso is awesome. And we were all like,
who?
So I take back everything I ever said. Best birthday present for you for him to release his album today.
There you have it. Well, while we're on like the bandwagon of music, let's just talk about music. I feel like the last couple of weeks,
about music. That's why we're here.
That's why we're here. But the last couple of weeks in particular, you and I sort of put together a bopper flop list of just past Eurovision artists and songs that maybe we haven't had as much familiarity with in years past, just to see where they stand sort of in our likes or dislikes, and expose one another to here's what we're listening to, what do you think, and see where we sort of lie with one another. How does that sound for today?
I'm on board. So our experiment was I gave Stephen 5 songs that I've been listening to on my playlist recently, and Stephen gave me 5 in return. And of course, it was time for us to listen to them, digest them, figure out maybe a ranking for them, thoughts on them. So here we go. Stephen, I thought maybe we could start with your 5 selected songs.
Oh, let's get the best out first. Okay.
Oh, no, sure. We can call them the best. So I'm just going to run through quickly the 5 songs that we are going to sort of be comparing.
Yes.
So we've got 5 songs from Stephen. We've got AWS, who represented Hungary in 2018. We've got Michaela, who represented Malta in 2019. We've got the infamous Ivi Adamu, who represented Cyprus in 2012. Twin Twin, representing France in 2014. And Michael Rice, representing the UK in 2019. So those are the 5 that Stephen said, I've added these to my playlist recently, and I think they're awesome. So let's talk about it.
Let's go.
let's break it down a little bit. So
break it down.
Some of these songs we've kind of talked about previously, and so my first question is, we have 2 that were straight up last place. So if our listeners might recall that we did the worst of the worst and the best of the worst. So is that where those came from, or had you heard them before?
No, I've heard all of them before, with the exception of Twin Twin. I hadn't heard Twin Twin Mustache until we actually did the best of the worst and worst of the worst. And so once we actually got into that one, that stuck with me because collectively the 3 of us were like, how was the song so bad? Why did the people hate this song? Because to me, this is a song that I can jam out to all the time. It's part of my morning workout mix now. So it's one of the ones that gets me hyped in the mornings when I'm lifting or running or cycling or whatever it is that I'm doing as part of my morning routine. And in addition to that, now every time I see Casey with whatever facial hair he is choosing to sport, I just can't help but sing that song to him now with that mustache. I don't know. I don't know where else to go with it.
Yeah, so this is definitely and we've talked about categories before. This is definitely the category of That's So Eurovision. Let's keep it real.
100%.
They're not taking life seriously. They're having a good time, and that's why, the more I listen to this song, the more I'm like, yeah, I can see why it didn't do so great in the like. I'm glad it got to the finals, but I can see why it didn't do so well because people are like, let's take somebody who's maybe taking the competition a little bit more seriously, something that's a little bit more musical. Let's give them their 5 minutes of fame. So this was not it for the fame
Well, and then
category.
I mean, we also have to keep in mind too. They were France's entry, so they had the automatic ticket to
That's true.
begin with. They were Big Five,
Yeah.
so uh, jury's out whether or not they would have actually advanced to
I feel
the
like they
grand
would have
final.
been similar to Windows 95 in the sense that you made it to finals.
But
I'm just happy to be here.
you're gonna be at the bottom end of that finals list, and I'm sure they would have been totally fine with that.
Well, and
And
so I took
when you watch their live performance, I mean, the crowd loved them. So
crowd loved them. They were having fun. We were
yeah,
having fun. So it's all fun. And so I was actually for each of the artists for today, I wanted to see where have you gone since, or what? How'd you get there? Where have you
where are
gone
they
since?
now?
Who knows? What I was able to find was that they had done an album in 2019, and it interestingly had 15 songs on it, but the number of listeners they have is low.
Okay.
I don't know what a threshold of high is, but like when one of your songs has like 2,000 listens since 2019,
Is that according
so
to
maybe
Spotify?
they're a little bit more underground in France. I don't know.
Maybe.
So I would say of your five songs, Twin Twin and Michael Rice's Bigger Than Us are my bottom two.
I mean,
So it makes sense, right? Like overall, they were
yeah,
last place in their years, so
probably for a
maybe there's
reason.
something
Yeah,
to it.
probably for a reason. I mean, I picked so Michael Rice's song is that song that like puts me in my feels, and it's more so like the music video itself than his actual live performance because
Okay, that's fair.
let's be frank, his live performance was not great. And he of course had to find himself cursed with the infamous UK curse of
Just being from the UK.
just being from the UK and dead near last place per the huge. But his music video and the actual recorded version it's cute. It puts me in my feels. And as much as I
I
am
mean,
a
it's no We Are the
curmudgeon,
World, but
it's
it's
no,
close.
it's close enough. It's close enough to like I'm a curmudgeon when it comes to like having children. I'll never have children, but like if I were to like if me and Roger were to ever like be parents to an adopted child and have like bigoted parents being like, don't hang out with our children because you're gonna like turn them gay, I'll be like, fuck you guys. Like it's bigger than us. Let the kids play. Uh, that's what it was to me. It's like
Yeah.
this is a tender moment where kids just see each other as human beings who have common interests in space and the solar system and just want to be kids and hang out and be friends. So fuck you
It,
guys.
which is of a stark contrast from Twin Twin, right? Like Mustache, we're having fun, and then Michael Rice, and then, of course this is a different year, but I'm just saying, like they're both
Yeah.
last place. So then Michael Rice is like, it's bigger than us, and you're like, okay, we're putting me in the fields.
Yeah. So that I mean, other than that, I'm like, yeah, let's cry it out for a quick 3 minutes and then call it. And then
Just
like
need a good cry.
I just need a good cry and then I want to dance it out about having a mustache or wishing that I had one. That's all.
I like it. Playlist order. So
There you go.
yes,
Priorities.
so those were my bottom two of your five. Now I will say this: I shuffled and reshuffled this top five order because you hear it for the first time and you have an initial impression, and I know like if this was like a live finale, like no, most people are hearing it for the first time, but I had a chance to like digest it, think about it, go back, listen to it, watch a live performance. So yes, did I reshuffle my rankings as I listened to it and like the earworm took its hold? Sure. So that being said, third place I gave to La La Love, which again I know we've talked about her before,
Yes.
but it's a fun song. She's having a good time. I will also say that the audio much better than the live performance.
Duh.
duh,
But
duh.
but the live performance is amazing in its own comical sense because again, drunk Stephanie Banks.
She lives rent free in our head.
She lives rent free in our head and will always get on a bar stool or a bar counter and dance the dance of life with her girlfriends thinking that she's the bee's knees.
Well, and she's still out there putting out music. And we forgot to
Yeah.
mention her in our first list of songs, but
I
she
know,
came out
'cause
with a new song today.
I know, and we'll slaughter it. Logia. I don't know how to
Logia.
Logia, but yeah, she's another one still pumping out the music, still out there doing her thing. I still love her. I still love that performance as messy as it was, but again, hypes me up in the morning, gets me going,
Yep.
and at some point Roger's going to be like, if I have to hear that song one more fucking time, I'm going to punch the TV. That's what he's going to say one of these days.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's really good that she has gone on to some success. I was reading that she had done a residency, which I believe was in this. If I'm pronouncing it right, it's Vogue in Athens. So
Wow.
so she had some sort of residency in Greece where she was performing her music regularly. And she had albums in both 2010, so before she was in Eurovision, and then she had another album that came out in 2022. So she's still out there doing her thing.
Go get it, girl. I'm here for it. And maybe
I'm
come
not.
back. Come back and represent Greece or Cyprus. Either one.
Let's see. Right. Let's see what you've done since 2012.
Yes. Absolutely. So what was your number 2 then? Of the
So
two that
the
are left.
so I it like almost pains me that I didn't put Chameleon in last place because on first listen the song is awful. The song is god awful.
No, it is not. It's such a good song. There's a reason
But you
why she
listen
advanced to the grand final. I don't
but
care.
you listen to it enough times and you're just like you can't stop singing it, it gets stuck in your head. This is the earworm I'm talking about where I feel like I have been forced mentally to put it higher because her lyrics are so just they're basic, they're nothing but metaphors. She's bluer than the ocean, she's golden like the sun, she's red without emotion. Like it's not great.
The grass is always
It's
greener.
put one more drink every time she sings a metaphor. We'd be drunk after a minute.
But it's such a good song. I love the beat. I love like
It's catchy. It's a
yep.
beat. I I am afraid to say this, but it's a bop because it gets into your head and you can't stop. Now, is it a good bop?
Yes. No, the answer is yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll give it a yes. Okay.
This was
So
a time when Malta wasn't robbed. They made it to the grand final, and
now,
justice was served.
interestingly, I will say that she received 107 points. Only 20% of that was from the public. So she was carried by the jury. So I
The
don't
jury
know
loved
what
her.
that says, but let's just let that, marinate for a second there. 20% of her vote was the public.
Hmm.
Just
Hmm.
a
Just
all right.
let that. So then your number 1 was
My number
AWS
and do you what is the title?
Vislatnayar, which I probably slaughtered, but that's the
Well,
best I can
so
do in Hungarian.
the right, the translation for that as if Google Translate is telling me anything in the internet, that translates to goodbye summer.
Okay.
Now, before we get into the translation, because I think the translation was very interesting, I want to put some context. If you have not listened to this song before, obviously you have, Stephen, but our listeners, if you haven't heard this, the best I
Buckle
can
up.
describe it, the best I can describe it to like sort of ground it into what you might have heard is they're like discount Linkin Park. And
Okay.
I mean that in a nice way. Again, like they're not Linkin Park, they're like, you know, the Timo version of Linkin Park.
Okay.
So they're giving me rock vibes. I really enjoy it. So let's talk about the translation. So the translation is basically about death.
Oh,
Um,
that's pleasant. Death of
so
summer?
so the way
Sorry.
it, the way the translation reads is, let's lay our cards on the table. My vessel's headed outbound, and it will leave you behind. So it's about somebody talking about dying. So in this song, a man is dying. He's talking maybe to a relative, talking about the legacy, saying, my blood will keep running in your veins. If you won't trade it away, there will be a mark on your heart. That'll lift you to the sky from the ground. And so then sings about Wisla, which is goodbye. So it's kind of deep and kind of would hit you in the feels if you spoke Hungarian.
Hmm.
And so it ends with, you can tear off your fair share of me. It won't trade it away. There'll be a mark on your heart that lifts you to the sky from the ground. So this song really is about like, I'm dying, but that's not the end. Like, I'm leaving my legacy behind with you. Like, it's actually kind of deep.
Much deeper than I thought. But then again, I did not deep dive as much as you did. When I heard it, I was like, this is like, I'm not gonna say like death metal or like hard rock, but like it was a rock song, and I was like, you know what, I'm
Sure.
actually like into this as much as I'm into like the more popish and like, you know, puts me in my feels songs. This one, I was like, I actually really like this because for some reason it just makes me want to like rage for 3 quick minutes and then call it good. Um,
Well, and I think that's the thing that struck me the most was that when we don't know the language, we are listening for like the vibe, the
mhm.
feel, the beat, the
Yeah,
musicality. We don't
yep,
know what the words are. We don't. It's even hard to know sometimes what that story is even telling, especially when it's just like a rock stage performance rather
right.
than like telling the story on stage. But then you deep dive into these lyrics and you're like, holy shit, these guys had something to say.
Like holy fuck, yeah, for real.
So I think that's what elevated it to first place of your five for me. Now, don't get me wrong, I liked it even without knowing what it was about. But then you find out what it's about, and I went, all right, these guys know what's up.
All the more, and now they'll, you know, Hungary will probably never come back.
Ugh, pour one out for Hungary.
I know.
Or at least, maybe not necessarily like, the people who decided not to participate. But
Well, I know. It's not that like they don't want to come back. It's just that certain people have made the decision for them that they're not coming back. And so
right, right.
there's that. Well,
So, but AWS from Hungary, they were 21st place in 2018, and that makes me a little sad. But the thing that I liked the most about it was that if you look at their points, mostly from the public, and to
mhm,
me that says something. Like,
yeah.
okay, sure, who cares about the jury? Like, I think that the
Yeah,
public saw it and was like, we appreciate this.
the jury hated them.
So,
Well, the jury liked them. The jury and the public liked them enough to get them to the grand final. But then
it's true.
when the grand final hit, the jury decided to show love elsewhere.
We had other songs that needed
Their
our
priorities, yeah,
points.
their
Mhm.
priorities went elsewhere.
Sure. But so of your five songs, Hungry, AWS, they were my number one.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Interesting song choices. I love them.
Oh, well, let's shift the focus.
Now you can roast me. I get it.
I mean, yours was a stark contrast, in my opinion, to what my playlist was, because you provided good variety. I'll put it that way, but I also felt like I was listening to a Taylor Swift album or a Taylor Swift playlist,
Oh,
because it was very folky. It was very like,
okay.
yeah. Um, a couple of them were very like upbeat, but for the most part, it was pretty just like chill. It was very chill
Okay.
vibe. I'm in a coffee shop. I got coffee shop. Like,
I mean, I'm not
not that that's
opposed
a
to
bad.
it.
I mean, that's not a bad thing, but it's like it's giving. It's
Maybe it's
giving.
like some fall weather. Maybe it's the fall weather. Like I was going for
Yeah,
like
it's like
Seattle fall weather,
it's giving
rainy vibes.
coffee shop in a flannel with a big hat while I'm like journaling, thinking
I'm
about,
here for it.
yeah.
I'm painting a picture in my mind of like myself at a coffee shop here in Seattle. So
So, my number 5 was I think they pronounce it Dewey Bob. Was it Dewey Bob with Slow Down?
yes, Netherlands
2016,
2016.
2016 Netherlands, because that one was just like, too slow for me.
You slowed it down too much.
It was a little too slow for me. Yeah, I was like, where is this going? But it fascinates me because Netherlands always just kind of gives you something you don't know what to expect. And that was 2016 was like another example of that. Because if you look at their history, every year it's just kind of something different.
I know you and I have talked about their song from 2021 that you're just like, I don't know what this
I
is.
don't know what's happening there. But then like you've got 2023 with Burning Daylight. You've got I mean, it was great as a recording, and then they botched it live. But then
Ooh.
I think it was like 2018 as well, where they had like Wild West. And it's like, where are we going with this? I don't. Yeah. So like another one where
You
it's just
know,
like, what's
is there
happening?
something we don't know about the Netherlands that is very folksy country?
I don't know. And then there's Justice for Used, but
Oh.
we, you know.
So interestingly about this song, it was an internal selection, so
Okay, so
keep
that
that
was
in
internal
mind.
selection year.
And it came, so he was apparently an already established artist, and he put out an album that year called Fool Bar,
Okay.
and this was a song off that album.
Okay.
So it almost gives me we just needed a song, and we picked the artist, and it came with the song.
Okay.
I'm just totally speculating on that part. But
Well, is he up to anything good these days? Do we know what's going on in his life?
his latest album was released in February of 2024, so he's still out there doing his thing.
Well, good on. I mean, 2025. Who knows?
If you need a fall playlist, add "Slow Down" by from the Netherlands.
And put on your like largest flannel that you can find in your closet, and maybe follow it up with "Back to December" by Taylor Swift. I don't know. Number 4 came from the United Kingdom, and that's your girl Lucy Jones with "Never Give Up on You." Another one,
Okay.
and
Fourth place, huh?
she was another one that, if I remember correctly, Curse of the UK and just the Toilet Bowl. If I remember correctly,
She placed 15th.
I mean, so not
So
like
she was like
the
middle of the road, right? Like that's still the
like
right side of the scoreboard.
it's the middle. Yeah, I mean,
She okay.
better than
So
most. Better than
she
most.
she received 111 points.
Okay.
99 of those points came from the jury.
Okay. I mean,
So who
she's
carried
kind of,
her was the jury.
yeah. I was about to say like she's part of the Ollie Alexander boat, where like the jury carried
But she had
her.
a good song. That was the difference.
You said it. I didn't.
I'm fine. Okay, so Lucy Jones is like this like strong woman power ballad like if I need to pump myself up, like that's where she comes in.
Okay.
I don't know.
It,
But
again,
she's doing her thing still.
it
So there's
is.
that.
Again, it falls on the slow song. Takes a while for me to kind of like build up to it. And
Okay, so let me
like,
ask you this.
Yeah. Okay.
You hear the song. Would you say it gives you like musical theater vibes at all?
Yes, it does. And that might be part of my reluctance to having it as high up on my list
Well,
as I do.
and the reason I ask that is because she is very musical theater. So if you look at what she was up to before Eurovision and what she's been up to since Eurovision, it's a lot of musical theater. Um,
Okay.
so she was she did Cosette in Les Mis on the West End. She did roles in Rent and Legally Blonde. And this was before she appeared in Eurovision. And then since Eurovision, she did a brief appearance as Jenna in Waitress. Shout out to Sarah Bareilles. She spent a year as Elphaba in Wicked. Most recently, she was Genevieve in The Baker's Wife and Catherine in Pippin, both on the West End.
Oh,
So
wow.
she does a lot of musical theater.
She
She's clearly
busy.
very successful at it.
Yeah, she busy.
So
Well, good on her.
maybe that helps ground the song and why it is the way it is.
Yeah, that gives me more perspective and that helps clarify it a lot more. So that's
Still fourth place for you, whatever.
still fourth place. Like doesn't move it up at all. I mean, if anything, it might move it lower, but
Ooh.
I'm just kidding.
So
my number 3 will go to your girl. I think it's Polly Genova from Bulgaria. If Love Was a Crime. Again,
yes.
It was a good one. That's why I put it in the middle. I know she was 2016 back then for that one. It's I don't have a whole lot of positives. I don't have a whole lot of negatives toward it. It's one of the ones that I'm like, it coasted right there in the middle. My top 2 are the ones that have just been on repeat the most, honestly. So that's why I was like,
okay.
we'll get
So I
there.
got you at least 2 songs that made your own playlist.
Yeah, I was like,
okay.
We'll get there in a little bit. So I'll let you have your time with her.
I will just mention that she wasn't in the middle of the song contest. She placed 4th.
So there you go.
She had 307 points, and it was a pretty close split between jury and public. So it seems like everybody seemed to enjoy it all around. I'm happy that Bulgaria did very well in the contest that year. And as far as the singer Poli Genova, if that's how we say it, she had tried out for Eurovision in previous years, both 2009 and 2011. And the thing that she said about her own song for 2016, she said the song was created spontaneously, and it is created for this song contest in particular. I had no idea what the song would turn out to be. I traveled to Vienna and I recorded it 4 days before the deadline. Now that I think of it, I find the song rather brave.
Well, I mean,
get it
when you're
Do your thing.
when you're working on such a time crunch, yeah, like.
And she has gone on, and she is a coach and mentor on both X Factor and has been on The Voice Bulgaria. And it looks like she's had a single every year since 2016, and she charts within Bulgaria several times.
Oh,
so
yeah, another country that will probably never come back. They're in hot water.
Yeah. And it's so sad because you're like, there's so many probably good artists out there who this could be their avenue for success.
Yeah. If their country
to at least get their word out, but their country's like, we have thoughts. So we'll just leave it there.
Unfortunately, their country kind of like botched it for them. But anyway, whoops. So my number 2 is going to go to your 2016 pick from Austria, and that would be Zoe with Loin Dici. I think that's how you say it. Nope, not at all.
I'm not saying like...
There's your clip. There's your reel.
I'm not saying I'm French or anything, but loin d'ici means far from here.
Well, I was close.
So yeah, close adjacent. You had some letters in there that were similar.
Sorry.
It's totally
One
good.
Dici.
Oh,
Not
it's
the
a
Loin
very
Dici.
it's a very light song, right?
Yeah, that's what I like about it. Her dress is awful in the music video. I'm sorry, I'm like tearing up
Oh.
so much. That was funny. Um, her dress is atrocious in that music video.
Can't all be winners.
No, they can't. At least steam it or put an iron on it. I don't know what else to say. um, but my God, no, it's a good song though. It goes back to kind of like, you know me, I like a little bit more like popish kind of vibes, and so I get a little bit more of a bounce to it than some of the other songs that I have a little bit lower than that. So this one now is part of my playlist. So
So even though her dress was atrocious, she made the playlist.
she made the playlist. Yeah, she made the playlist because again, like I just put my headphones on and I'm like, well, okay, we're good now. That being said, I do need to at some point watch the live performance for 2016 to see if her team helped her redeem herself as far as like not only the performance but her outfit choices.
So just to, I don't know if we said it. So she did represent Austria in 2016.
Yeah.
Songs in French, but she represented Austria. The song got 13th place, so just enough to be technically the left side of the scoreboard, right? She received 151 points. They were mostly from the public, so I feel like that's another good sign. She had actually tried out for Eurovision previously, and I think that's what's kind of cool. If you look at a lot of our songs that we've talked about today, is like this person tried out for Eurovision 2 or 3 times before. But she actually had tried out for Eurovision in 2015, so the year before. It was a song that was written by her and her father. I'd not listened to that song, but I just thought that was kind of a cool fact.
Yeah.
And then in 2016, that is when she represented Austria. She's gone on to tour. She had a #1 single in Italy that also charted in other parts of Europe called C'est la vie. Not the C'est la vie we're thinking of. That was the girly pop song from the early 2000s. Not that one. And then her latest song was actually at the beginning of October this month.
Wow.
Beginning of October 2024. And if you don't speak French, Stephen, you can go and listen to her reworked song. So she reworked it and did it in English. And so Loin d'ici, Far From Here, is in English, available on Spotify.
Oh, well, maybe I'll go check that one out so I can finally figure out what she's saying.
So there you have it. I just think it's a fun song. I think she was having a good time with it. It felt very refreshing to some of the I don't know, boring pop. I just really liked it.
Yeah, I as well. And then my #1, drum roll, yes, goes to your pick from 2017, and that would be the return of our friends Sunstroke Project, Moldova, and their song Hey Mama. And I'm going to tell you this. When I first heard it, I was like, no, this is a flop. But similar to you and your thoughts on Michaela with Chameleon, the more I've listened to it, the more I'm like, I actually can't get this song out of my head. And I enjoy this. And also that lead singer had quite the glow up, in my opinion, from the first time we saw him back in 2010 with Runaway. And looking at him like years later, I'm like, you've you, my friend, have actually gotten more attractive now that you've like kind of filled out a little bit and you don't look, dare I say, methed out. I don't know if I can say that on a podcast, but we're gonna
Oh, it's been said now.
we're gonna try it. So he looked healthier. That's the best way that I can put it. He just looked healthier. And he didn't have like the weird Justin Bieber hair going on at the same time. That's a better way to put it as well.
Right. Interesting. And I mean, it just goes to show that you can make the Squirtle song for memes and come back to Eurovision.
Yes. So, yeah, and the saxophone guy was still hanging out with them too, so that was also enjoyable.
So this is where I found what I thought was a very fun fact that I wanted to share with you, and I haven't shared it with you until now. Do you remember, I don't know, the guy who sang Soiree Saluna last year?
Sex Cold Man.
There is a Sunstroke Project connection there.
Tell me more.
So apparently, he was their lead singer in 2008 for 1 year.
Interesting.
And they entered the Moldova national finals with a song called No Crime and came in third place.
Oh my gosh.
So he then left the group and for the last like 10 years or so was doing his thing. And then in 2023, when he made it to Eurovision, Sunstroke Project actually tried out with their own song called Yummy Mommy, which that's a title. Okay. But they got third place, losing to their former lead singer.
It happens.
Just a small little Moldovan world there.
Is it? Moldova.
I mean, there's like what, 3 people that live in Moldova?
Like, Moldova's not that big to begin with, but also between him and Sunstroke Project, they're both returning artists. So like they've both performed and have represented Moldova twice. So
from jazz group to sex cult. Congratulations, Pasha.
Congratulations. And now we know what Moldova's all about.
They're doing their jazz thing. They're doing sex cults. They're doing individual people on the stage who don't need backup dancers. Like, that's what we do in Moldova.
Shout out to their mamas. So
hey
mama. So there you have it. That's my list. Again, of your 5 songs that you've thrown my way, 2 got onto my playlist. A third might find their way on there. Jury's out still. Like, I go back to it every now and then, but it just hasn't quite like stuck yet.
It's fair.
Yet. So
I mean, and I think you're right in the sense that like mine are very eclectic. I would like to think that I have a varied taste. I think highly of myself.
I'm getting there. I'm building up to having a more diverse, eclectic taste. I would like to think that, every year Eurovision helps me branch out a little bit more.
Well, and I appreciate that, like, of the 5 that you gave me, 2 of them were foreign language.
So there's that starting point.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about that.
And, of the 2 that are now on my playlist, 1 is foreign language. And
do you remember what the name of that song was?
Yeah, Loin Dici.
That's the one.
That's the one.
Loin Dici.
Loin Dici. Loin Dici. If I got any better with it. So I don't know. Maybe Rosetta Stone needs to like throw us a bone or something to help me with my foreign language skills or something. I don't know.
Please like and subscribe so that we can get Steven a Duolingo subscription.
Or something. But I think that's a good stopping point for us, don't you think, Doug?
That'll do it for today.
Yeah, that will. So let's call it good for there. As always, to our listeners, thanks for tuning in, and be sure that you give our episodes a like, follow and subscribe. And as always, you can catch us and follow us on Instagram and TikTok. You can always send questions our way by just sending a quick email to eurovisionkiki@gmail.com. Katie, we hope to see you next week, where the trio will once again reunite. But in the meantime, as they say here, Loin Dici, and we'll see you all at our next
At the
Kiki.
next Kiki.
Bye.